The Ben Coley Podcast. Alright, how's it going? You're listening to the Ben Coley Podcast. It's episode 5, and I'm going to talk to you about my favourite new unsigned artist that I'm listening to at the moment. I'm going to give you my commentary on all the latest music news. I'll be playing you my favourite song of the week, and also I'll quickly tell you about my favourite album of the week that I'm listening to at the moment as well. So, if you're kind of like me and you love all sorts of genres, this is a quick pit stop for you to touch base with loads of different sounds, collect some new styles, collect some new tunes, stick them in your library and enjoy to your heart's content. A little bit before I start, if you've got any artist suggestions or any questions for any new episodes, just hit me up on any of my socials, so that's _Ben Coley on Instagram, or you can hit me up on Twitter at BenColey97, and there's also a crafty little email that you can email as well, the Ben Coley Podcast at gmail.com. For copyright reasons, I've had to reach out to all of the unsigned artists and ask for full permission to use their songs, which all of them have got back to me and said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So you're going to be hearing snippets of their songs, but it's all been cleared up. They're the sole copyright holders and distributors of their music, so it's all good. And yeah, let's get into it. So, episode 5, and I think I've got some really good unsigned artists this week that I'm excited to share with you. First up is a band called Flares. They're from Birmingham. You've got Arthur on lead vocals. Now, please forgive me, because I'm really not too sure on how to pronounce this name. It's E-D-I-E. So you could say Eddie, or I'm not sure if it's Edie. But she's on bass and vocals. Then you've got Leo on guitar and Ruben on the drums. So Flares are a Birmingham band, and they're really young. They're 16, 17, I think, and you know, considering they're still in their formative years, they've managed to kind of garner this really great indie rock sound. There's also shades of punk and garage that they've kind of thrown into the mix as well. And like I said, they're young, so they're pretty early on in their careers. They've only released 5 singles, so having only been on the scene for a couple of years, they're still quite baby-faced in their formative years, so if you catch them now, you can easily have a claim to fame in the future and be like, I listened to them and caught them when they only had 5 songs out. The track that I'm going to talk to you about is Stuck. It's a track that I feel is their most mature, I'd say. It's the most well thought out, and I quite like the delivery of it as well. It has got this real adolescent feel to it. It's full of energy. So it starts with these very... Oh God, I've got such a sore throat. It starts with these quite dissonant guitar chords that are very brittle, very edgy, and the drums come in pretty much straight away. But it's these crashing cymbals and a super busy snare drum as well. And the band then, after about 30 seconds or so, 20-30 seconds, they switch into this more controlled groove where they're literally toggling between 2 chords, and they have a little stop on the first beat of each bar. And it's good because when Arthur comes in with the lead vocals, it kind of helps to punctuate it. See what you think. Yeah, I like their sound, and just after the first chorus, or the first sort of vocal hook that they deliver, in comes a guitar solo, which isn't conventionally where you'd put a guitar solo. They're not following an archetypal song structure where it's verse, chorus, instrumental or bridge, and then a final chorus. They're not doing that. They're clearly thinking a lot more about how they want to best deliver this song and how they want to package it up a little bit differently. So I love the placement of this guitar solo, and it's a really nice sound because it's not so much a gritty, muddy distortion. It's more of this kind of blown out, over the top, overemphasized distortion, which works really well for the solo that you're about to hear. It's a good solo. Yeah! After a long and loud, busy instrumental break, later on, there's this beautiful, stunning shift to a more serene moment of the song, where the band really show that they can control the dynamics of their songs. So, on the drums, Ruben's playing this nice sort of rim shot groove, really bringing it down a lot. And there's also these cleaner sounding guitars as well, which are plucked quite gently. There's a little bit of reverb and distortion in the mix, so it's still sounding quite full and quite rich. And there's some amazing vocal chemistry between Arthur and Ade. Beautiful, isn't it? And it's a song that I don't think it's necessarily a through and through great pop song as such. It's not one of those songs that you'd put on to belt out and sing along to. I couldn't imagine it being shouted back at them in a stadium anytime soon, but it's a song that I think showcases their musicianship. It shows their musical dexterity, their ambition. And I think, considering their age, considering that they're all 16, 17 years old, considering the stage that they're at in their career, and that they've only been together for a couple of years, I've got a lot of time for this song, because I think Stuck is really showing that they've got a lot to prove, and that they're hungry, and they're really looking to break through what is already a pretty busy music scene in Birmingham. So, I actually have started a new job this week. Where am I now? I'm in Gerrard's Cross, and I'm working nearby, so I'm sort of outskirts of London. Not that anyone cares, so it's just meant that I haven't managed to get as many interviews this week, because you know what it's like, first week of a new job. Next week, I'm definitely going to try to get some interviews under my belt, because I've got my first week of work out the way with, and I'll be able to book out a studio, because I'm working as a radio presenter for the British Forces Radio, and then we'll be able to get some more interviews. But I managed to catch these guys last week, and they're great fun.
Stuck really was based around, because we normally do the music first, Leo writes the music first, we kind of based it around that. We kind of just wanted, the main idea was we wanted to do a song with a different time signature. So in the chorus, it's 7/8, and we kind of just built it, the rest of it around that. We got some kind of 7th chords, which we liked. And then the kind of night owl thing, I think Edie came up with, and that came quite quickly. And then we just sort of, we played a bit with dynamics and stuff. We basically just wanted to make a really weird song. And it came out all right in the end. I liked it.
Well, live, what we do is we leave a really big gap and then do a massive ending with loads of drums, the bass, whatever. But we wanted it to sort of be quite a shock when we did it recorded, so that it would build up and then just stop and drop completely, and everyone would be like, what just happened? Yeah. we like the way it works, recorded and live. We change it up a bit.
Yeah, so how do you guys focus on your live shows? Like, how do you try and switch up the songs quite a lot and make them quite different to your recorded songs? And do you like really focus on your stage presence and your kind of image and what you're wearing and stuff like that?
I think the songs, when we play them live, because we start off playing them live most of the time, we only have one song that we recorded before we started playing live. I think it mainly comes from how we play it live. So how we play it live will be totally parallel to how we record it in the studio. Yeah. So it's a totally different thing to think about.
Got you. Okay. And you guys are from Birmingham, but that's all I really know about you. I couldn't find much more information in terms of like sort of how old you are, how you guys formed and stuff like that. So take me right back to the start. When was it that you formed? Like, how did it all kind of come about? How did Flares crop up?
Right, so we started in a school band. We had like 7 members with a clarinetist at one point. But so yeah, we started a school band. Stayed a school band for like 2 years, then started doing our own stuff, and that's how it happened. So we've been going for about 3 years now in us 4, and yeah, so that's pretty much how we started. I've just turned 16, so we're all above. So we're all above 16 now.
Oh, you guys are young then. Fair play, because you're writing like it's very mature music. I hate to sound patronising, I don't mean to, but it's like it's very mature for your age, if you know what I mean. Like, you're writing music that literally a band full of 30-year-olds could be writing.
Yeah, so I'm 16, Arthur's 16, Ede's
17.
Ruben 17. There you go.
Nice. No, it's really cool to see that you guys are like young, but you're already like, you know, you seem well established. Like, you're really focusing on getting the sound right. Like the sound of the recordings is great. And also the thing that really cropped up to me was your artwork. Because it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's kind of like a patchwork of like different random objects that are like sort of layered on top of each other. And it all follows the same style for each single. So whose idea was that, and who do you get to help you do the artwork?
So
Big shout out to Leo's mum. She likes to mess around with all the artwork and stuff. But we always pick something that we think, we attach an image to a song and a colour, and we like lightning, we said was yellow, duck was red or whatever.
right.
So we always attach something, and then we give her ideas, and then she messes around with it on the computer, and that's how we go about it.
Huge shout out to Leo's mom. Love that. So what about your plans for 2020 then? So obviously January's just started. You've probably had a bit of a break over Christmas and like chilled out with your families or whatever. How are you starting the new year, and how are you kind of, you know, how are you moving it on into sort of the summer and then eventually, you know, towards the end of the year?
So the idea is we've got a big old announcement for February. We're going to be playing a lot of gigs in February, and then we're going a bit quiet whilst I do my GCSEs.
Oh no, mate! It has to be done. It has to be done.
But then in the summer we're all free, and then we go and play as many festivals, as many gigs we can get. So Flair's coming to a city near you.
Love it. Yeah, even like GCSEs isn't very rock and roll, but then at least you could be like, yeah, we're gigging all summer. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Make it for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to discuss this together and then give me your answer, but it's quite a tricky one to end off on. But I always finish with, describe your music and what you do in 3 words, and 3 words only.
So we're fun, energetic indie.
Next artist is T.Calmese, and we're actually heading across the pond now. I like to try and feature unsigned artists from the UK, of course. Pretty much everyone that I've featured is from the UK. But if I see an artist that I really enjoy and that I think's great, I'm still going to include them. Yeah, you probably won't be going and seeing them live anytime soon because this artist's actually from America, but you'll still be able to follow him online, check out his music, and when he does, hopefully, eventually come to the UK, you'll be one of the first people to get tickets. So, he's a hip-hop artist from Detroit, and you know, when you think hip-hop, Detroit, you think Eminem. But this guy's on a totally different wave to that. He's coming up through the roots, and I'm looking forward to seeing where he's heading to. So, he's called T.Calmese, and he's part of a group called the Black Opera. For me to better explain what the Black Opera is, I'll read you what their little synopsis is on their Facebook page. With members located in Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, T.Calmese, New York, Los Angeles, and Paris, we don't claim just one place, we take the world. It's quite dramatic. A collective of artistic freedom fighters who openly and fluently express creation through music, visual art, and parables of truth. We are the Black Opera, a cast of characters narrating our perception of timeless issues and universal subjects that connect the past, present, and future. Effectively, a collective of artists that all creatively support each other. That's what they are. They're just a group of artists that have all got each other's back. They all promote each other. And it's clear that T.Calmese is getting a nice bit of support as well. T.Calmese is awesome. I'm going to talk about his track called Timing Is Money, but it's actually written out as Timing Is, and then there's $3. And it's his latest single that he's released, and it's got an amazingly well-produced, professional-looking video that's come along with it as well. So we'll get straight into it, and this is what it sounds like. It's pretty sick.
So simple, I'm thinking maybe, and just a little doubt could be detrimental, but still I just pushed the lead on this pencil. Tell you what I've been through, telling on the mountain this money I should be counting. I'm thinking I found the fountain of youth, but I was never old. I got a binge-worthy career, pick an episode, went from being next to nobody to next to blow, but now it's all love over here, player X and O's.
So yeah, this is Timing Is Money, and what immediately strikes me is this lo-fi sound. It is a minimal production that he's gone for. I really like that though. We hear so much, or so many overproduced hip-hop songs that sound just quite clean and clinical. It's nice that this is a bit more gritty and it's a bit more earthy, I think. You've got this very low-key acoustic drum sound in the background that's just playing around in this syncopated loop. You've got these sustained horn notes that I love, but then when they cease, when they drop out in the final few beats of the bar, you've got this really captivating little piano broken chord or arpeggio that's played. And when it goes round and round, it's almost this hypnotic beat that you get. I really like it. So we're going to go into the second verse now. Lyrically, I think it's quite playful, it's quite funny. T.Calmese is talking about his humble beginnings where he's hanging around with dreamers and dreaming of a big future in rap. And he's talking about how he's in the streets all night. And he talks about his mum as well. And his mum tells him not to live life so fast and to take things a little bit slower. But ultimately, message of this song, he's just trying to get paid.
This one is for my niggas. On my Anderson pack, I'm getting bigger. Visions come to pass, I was a young boy, trying to kick my little rap shit, I was young joy. Carpe diem, my first taste of freedom, I was searching for my big shot and hanging with the dreamers. In the streets, player all night long. First time I got some ass, I kept my all whites on. Mama told me don't you grow too fast, just take it slowly. This was way before like buttons, DMs, emojis. I was 4 deep in the neon, chasing the rap dream. The 5th row bitch in the backseat, relax please. Niggas said I was ill without a vaccine. Training for my first run out like a track meet. While the beat loop, I wasn't normally scripting my future out on the paper, that was the prelude. This is how I do it every day. Every day. I'm just out here trying to get paid. Get yours, get paid. Time is like money. Time is like money. Time is like money. It's time and it's money. Time and it's money. Time and it's money. It's time is like money. My time is like money.
The main chorus hook, timing is money, timing is money, timing is money, is so catchy. Really catchy, it's so sick, and the instrumental's great as well. I think T.Calmese's personality really shines through. The third unsigned artist that I'm going to talk to you about is Sonny Achille, and he's a Brighton rapper who I think is delivering quite a tasteful mix of hip-hop, alternative trap and grime, and he's released a load of tracks and videos in 2019. I went back through his social media, he's been so busy for a while. But I think the track that grabbed me the most is Toxic. That's definitely my favourite. It starts with these really uncertain, moody synths that kind of make way pretty much instantly for this trap-influenced beat. And it's a beat that really doesn't let go. It kind of grasps you, it's really in your face, it's really at the forefront of the track, almost dominates the mix entirely, but it doesn't let you go. It's really intense, and it suits the vibe and the atmosphere of the song perfectly. Listen to this first verse, there's loads of great hooks, you'll be singing it back pretty much after 1 or 2 listens, and I particularly like the pre-chorus. Listen for the la-la-las. I know it doesn't sound particularly exciting when I put it to you like that, but the way he works in la-la-la-la-la works really well for me.
Versace, Versace, Versace. Still, yeah, I cannot afford them. H&M cause I bought them. Still, yeah, I bought them with caution. Breaking my pills into portions. Veterans, there's no aborting. Flippers and snorkels, I'm snorting. Another dimension I'm walking to. Look who you're talking to. Stepped in the dance, see my dancing moves. Eyeballs the size of the parting moon. Paving the wave in the party room. Got this L in my system. Hope that these kids ain't listening. I told them Tito, but don't get it. I have to be high if my ticket. Tony Montana go with it. I'm slitting the wrist when we kiss and listening. This is the way I keep thinking. La 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 la. This is the way I keep thinking. La 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 la.
The chorus on this thing is also really catchy. In the second half of the chorus, you've got the lyrics "toxic energy," but this is almost the fact that Sonny is going down kind of incrementally or chromatically through this scale. He's just singing in semitones. It's almost got this world sound about it, and there's the addition in the background of these really ethereal sounding, Bollywood sounding female vocals that just float around quite eerily in the backdrop, and I think that works so well with the chorus. It's actually quite a haunting chorus. I think it's quite smouldering and it kind of creeps up on you. There's tinges of Post Malone that I hear in terms of Sonny's vocals in the chorus, but it's not like Post Malone in terms of its delivery. I think the delivery is way more sinister.
La, 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 la. We rerun the track and then we put it on replay. Sleepless nights cause we ain't got no time to waste. Guaranteed you'll see me getting off my fucking face. Yeah. Toxic energy, take that away. Poisonous energy, can't get it anyway. We got the melody that they need in the rave. Someone call security, these girls just can't behave. Mom told me to take all my vitamins. Look at this mess that I'm getting in. Making some potions.
Overall, I think it's just a really, really well produced song that's got a clear angle with its delivery. And it's a track that's got plenty of hooks to win you over, but it's got enough whistles and bells on it as well to sustain your interest and actually make you think, you know what, I want to go back and listen to it, because each time you listen to it you'll probably get something more out of it that will just creep out at you. Really like that track from Sonny Achille, and all of the unsigned artists that I've just talked about I'm going to be featuring in the description section. I'll include all the links to their social media so you can go and follow them, go and download their music, go and listen to them. You know what, drop them a message, let them know how sick you think they are, and say that you heard them on my podcast. They might like that, who knows. Okay, some music news. First up, first and foremost, R.I.P. Neil Peart. What a massive loss for the rock community. The legendary, incredible drummer from Rush. And according to Rolling Stone, the 67-year-old passed away on January the 7th after quietly battling brain cancer for the last 3 years. Which, you know, we haven't heard anything about it in the news up until now. So it was obviously just a very personal, private thing that was going on. But you know, at least it's now come to light, and there's not been too much media surrounding the final moments of his life. He was actually inducted into the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame in 1983, and he was the youngest ever drummer to be honoured, which is a massive accolade. He was actually inducted by the Foo Fighters, and I think that Taylor Hawkins from the Foos actually did a really touching tribute. The Foos put out a post across their social media. I saw it on Instagram. And Taylor Hawkins' tribute was simply saying that Neil Peart had the hands of God. End of story. Which I think, coming from a drummer like Taylor Hawkins, A, is a huge accolade, but B, just goes to show perhaps how influenced a drummer like Taylor Hawkins was by someone like Neil Peart. So it's obviously incredibly sad, but I think we can definitely celebrate the music of Rush and definitely remember Neil Peart for being such an incredible drummer. If you're a vegan, if you're a vegetarian, stop listening, because there's some beef. That was cringy, but there is some beef. Wiley and Stormzy have been dissing each other. There's been some bad vibes going on. There's some beef in the grime world. So, in order for me to provide some context for you, if you're pretty new to all of this, in October in 2019, Dot Rotten, a veteran rapper, he kind of reached out, or sent for, so to speak, he kind of fired shots from J1, who's an up-and-coming rapper, and then Dot Rotten the nutter when, for loads of rappers, he was calling out Wiley, H, P Money, and he called out some Boy Better Know members as well. He called out JME, he called out Skepta, and basically Wiley gets involved, and on Twitter he tweets that he's sick of rappers running all the time. Why is no one responding to him? And then JK, the rapper, kind of wades in, and Wiley was asked whether or not JK is going to respond to the diss. And Wiley said, nah, never. He's not going to reply. He's with Ed Sheeran and Stormzy now. So kind of just batting off JK, that's a bit of an innuendo, batting off JK as being kind of just mainstream, throwaway. He's off with Ed Sheeran, he's off with Stormzy. Stormzy didn't like that. So, Stormzy, started having some beef with Wiley. Back and forth, back and forth. Wiley fires the first shot with, God, I'm not street enough for this, Idiot Skengman. So that's Idiot Skengman, and he's dropped 3 videos, 1, 2, and he's about to drop the 3rd. He's teased the 3rd. So Stormzy replies, and he replies pretty quickly, actually. He didn't leave it too long, he didn't ponder on it, he got back in there. So Wiley has released Idiot Skengman 1, 2, about to drop the 3rd, and Stormzy replied with Disappointed, and then his second diss track to Wiley, or his second bounce back, his second clap back, was still Disappointed. It's gotten pretty nasty now, actually. It's a good bit of beef. It's quite entertaining. It's like watching a real entertaining game of ferocious tennis. So they're going after each other's mums. The classic, suck your mum, all of that. Wiley has said to Stormzy that I've done more for you than your dad has. That Stormzy can't get over his ex-girlfriend, Maya Jama, and that Maya Jama's, fair game now for other people. He's also said that without him, so Wiley has said without his influence, Stormzy wouldn't even exist, and that Stormzy's left grime, he's transitioned over to being with Ed Sheeran, so he's not being true to his roots, he's not sticking to the scene. Stormzy has replied with the rhetoric that he's bigger and better than every other grime artist that's ever existed, which is true. He uses the line that the only thing bigger than him last year was Brexit. He's throwing shade as well by saying, where's your mum at? Saying that Wiley has forced his mum out of the country and that his mum's had to go and live in Cyprus. So it's all got pretty nasty. When family members start getting involved, it starts getting a little bit below the belt. In terms of what I think, it's not over yet. I think that Wiley's still yet to kind of put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. Stormzy's still got to get back and say his piece, but I think Stormzy's won. I think Stormzy's got the better, come out on top, maybe. For me, the reason why that is Wiley, a lot of the time, is using this argument of, Stormzy, you had to look up to me, you used to sing my praises in order to get where you are now. That's effectively what he's saying. I'm your biggest inspiration. Without me, your career wouldn't exist. Which, okay, true. But I'm sure Stormzy had other influences outside of Wiley. I don't think it's as simple as, without Wiley, Stormzy wouldn't exist. And also, what else do you expect? That's the way it goes. You grow up, you listen to artists, you're inspired, and then you think, oh, I'm quite inspired by this. I want to try and create music like this for myself. And then you go and create music like that for yourself. And, eventually it becomes successful. It's kind of the cycle of how music comes about. Artists get inspired, artists create music, they put the music out there. So this whole argument and rhetoric of, without me you wouldn't exist, like, okay, true, but he does exist, and he's beefing you, and he's calling out your mom, so it just seems like a bit of a weak argument that doesn't really stand up. So yeah, and I think Stormzy's tracks go a bit harder as well. When I'm listening to Stormzy's stuff, when I've listened to his diss tracks on YouTube, I think Stormzy's got a better flow. I think he's got more to say, to be honest. And he quite literally is the kingpin of grime at the moment. So that kind of settles the score, really. Okay, my song of the week this week is from Tame Impala, Lost in Yesterday. There was no other contender that even came close to Tame Impala this week. This is hands down my song of the week. I absolutely love it. So it's the 4th single to be taken from Kevin Parker's latest upcoming project, his new album that's coming out in February called The Slow Rush. And it's quite interesting to see the tact that Kevin Parker's taking. He's releasing quite a lot of singles from the album. Almost half of the album's been released already, but I'm all for it because the songs are all great. It starts with this thick, meaty bass tone. The bass line is so groovy, so funky, it's so addictive, and it's supported by this very heavily produced and affected drum shuffle in the background that really accentuates the bass line. I love it. It proves to be the spine for the whole song, really. And Kevin Parker's singing, well, he's in quite a nostalgic, reflective mood for this album, I'd say, particularly for this song. He's looking back on his younger days where he didn't have much money, where he wasn't rich and famous, and he's looking back on his simpler days, saying that even though it seemed dark and unprosperous at the time, he looks back with fond memories. I love the lyric right at the end of the first verse that he uses where he says, "Eventually, terrible memories turn into great ones." And I personally can relate to that, and I'm sure other people can as well. The pre-chorus is great. The lyrics, again, are just stunning. If they call you, embrace them. If they hold you, erase them. Which is Kevin Parker talking about his memories. If your memories are grabbing you and you're thinking back, embrace those memories, get lost in them. But if there's memories that are haunting you, try and get rid of them. And I think that shows Kevin Parker's positive mindset in this album as well. And I love, obviously, the classic reverb that you get in Kevin Parker's voice. But even though there's a lot of reverb, I don't think it takes away from the melody that he's putting forward. The melody is the selling point of this song. Instrumentally, I don't think this song is as good as other tracks he's released, like It Might Be Time or Posthumous Forgiveness, but the melody is absolutely killer. The chorus is the best chorus I've heard. I was going to say this year, we're only just into the new year. It's the best chorus I've heard in months. Genuinely, it's the catchiest, most feel-good chorus ever. Like, genuinely, whenever I hear it, I'm singing it back straight away, and I want to get up and dance, which is huge credit to Kevin Parker, because he knows how to write a damn good chorus. Okay, my album of the week this week is from London dance pop solo artist Georgia. It's her second album, and it's been 5 years since her self-titled debut. And her second album's called Seeking Thrills, and I really enjoy it. I think it's amazing. She makes a great use of her soaring and euphoric chorus melodies. There's some really complex, well-integrated synth sounds in there. And it's got these deep house dance beats as well, with these awesome grooves. It's so well layered, it's so rich. Every single song brings texturally something quite new to the table. And there's some great songs on there as well. About Work of the Dance Floor has loads of great techno influences in there with quite scattering and punchy synths. And I also love Never Let You Go. It's a really well crafted pop song which demonstrates how comfortable Georgia is in her range, but also demonstrates that, you know, she can write some sort of avant-garde dance tune, but she can also write a through-and-through pop song that can go straight to the top of the charts and be played all over Radio 1, Capitol, Heart, wherever it's going to be played. I think it kind of sounds like a Church's song in terms of its delivery, in terms of sonically how it's all put together, but it's personally way better than anything Church's have done. Sorry, any Church's fans. Another good track as well, I think it's track 5 or track 6, is Mellow. It's actually a track that really grew on me. At first I wasn't too keen on Mellow because it's lacking quite a lot of melody. But where there's a lack of melody, it's been compensated for some pretty heavy and erratic production that really reflects the hedonistic attitude that George is trying to put across. She's trying to convey this feeling of going out, getting drunk, getting high, kind of being debaucherous, being over the top when you're out, living this crazy life. And the production really reflects that. And it's grown on me a lot. It's actually a really cool song. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, go to the description. There's all the links to the amazing unsigned artists that I've been talking about this week. 3 great artists that I've given you. I'll have more interviews for you next week. It will be my second week at my new job. But in that time, I'll be able to book out a crafty radio studio and get some interviews under my belt.
The Ben Coley Podcast.